Hey everybody, welcome back to another YouTube video of me talking about the coronavirus and what's going on. This video, my goal in this whole thing is to pretty much try to ease people's tensions and stress about the whole thing in general, because it's not an easy time we're living in right now in terms of how people are handling the situation. It's not an easy situation to handle. People are flocking the stores. I applaud Kroger and a few other grocery stores that are closing stores early for younger consumers and leaving the store open a few hours for older citizens, senior citizens in this time of panic. And good for them for doing that, because from my perspective on the whole thing is I have a few older people in my life that mean a lot to me, and if they can't get anything, that stresses me out too, because I care about them, and I hope that all of you care about your elderly friends and family as well. Which brings me to my first conversation or opinion or perspective on, I guess if you should say, the Walmart stores and Randall's. We went to Randall's the other day and they didn't have any meat, no meat at all. Kroger, no meat at all. I don't know what. I know people want meat and whatnot, except for the vegetarians and vegans. But for the like of me, I don't understand what the deal is with people just completely taking everything they can. Toilet paper. Seriously? Like, I was joking with someone being kind of a smart aleck the other day, talking about how, hey, if you don't have toilet paper, you can always use coffee filters or grass. That's a line from The Heat. If any of y'all have watched The Heat with Melissa McCarthy and Sandra Bullock. But I don't understand why people are panicking about something like this to where they literally just completely wipe out the stores. It's worse than any hurricane. With the hurricane, you pretty much know what's going to happen, though. Coronavirus, it's anybody's guess, because you don't know who's going to get it. You don't know if you're a carrier of it, because some people carry it and don't show symptoms, while others, they can carry it and then eventually show symptoms and get someone sick, which is unfortunate, but it's the reality of it all. That's why they're quarantining everybody. But just follow the signs and limit to what you need, because there's a lot of people that go to the stores and get screwed because they don't get anything. The only exemption I can think of that would allow, me personally to think that it's okay to take more than what you need is if you have a large family at home, or if you're stocking up and helping someone else out. For example, my mom bought a bunch of extra stuff yesterday to help my neighbor out, because my neighbor has a kid at home to take care of, and she can't really leave the house because her kid is sick. So we went out for her, and that was fine. I don't mind doing that. And then we went out later with her because she needed some stuff like cat litter and stuff, and since she was hurt in her nursing job, she can't lift heavy stuff, so I helped her out. I don't mind doing that. But just watch how much you take, because there's a lot of people out there that are really hurting by this. And there's people like my dad who, my dad's a very opinionated person. He thinks that this is blown out of proportion, that it's just, a worse case of the flu. And a lot of people get confused by viruses. My mom was asking me a question yesterday. Oh, can you kill a virus with intense heat? Well, viruses aren't living organisms. That's the tricky thing about viruses, is they're not living organisms. If you take antibiotics for a virus, you're pretty much not going to get well, because viruses are not bacteria. They're just a thing. They're not really classified as an organism because they don't follow the characteristics of life. However, you can kind of kill a virus you can kill it with heat. That's why they always tell you wash your hands with warm water, warm soapy water, because what it does is it pretty much, the virus gets its strength from this sort of like lipid. Lipid is a microscopic term for fat. And the virus has a lipid layer, and you can kill that lipid layer, which would basically make the virus harmless, can't do anything. And that's pretty much what people are telling, the authorities and the news are telling people to do, is sanitizers for the most part have the components that melt that lipid layer to make a virus practically harmless. It's still there, but it's harmless. And viruses can't really reproduce on their own to where they die. The way they reproduce is if they take over cells and trick the cells in our bodies to reproduce them. I learned this in 9th grade biology. Some of my facts might be a little hazy, but I remember it really pretty well because I really like biology. That's probably what I'm going to end up teaching in a few years because I want to be a teacher in biology. And I just love science. And it's good to see that these people are taking it seriously. My generation of people, Generation C, woohoo! We are stubborn. We don't really follow anybody else. I have teachers that are in Generation Y. I have a few baby boomer teachers. My grandma used to be a teacher from she was born in 1930. She was a teacher in the early 50s. And they're a really wise generation. They know what they're talking about. And they lived through it because my grandma, growing up, born in 1930, she grew up through not only the Depression, but World War II as well. So she had to deal with probably the two worst things that this country ever had to deal with 80 years ago, 80 to 90 years ago. Now as for this, it's kind of a confusing situation because they tell people to stay at home. People, for the most part, are respecting that, except for if you're going out and getting groceries. But I have to say it's quite interesting because traffic's light. There's hardly anybody. I'm going 80 miles an hour. And I could go faster if I want to, but I don't want to do that. However, you can, in a nutshell, in this little conversation here, you can kill viruses, because they're not living, so you can't kill something that's not living. But to defect them from their effects on people, what you want to do is heat will work. They tell people to use soap water and whatnot. You can do that. Also, when you wash your hands, use warm water because cold water kind of just, washes them off and whatnot. But if you really want to actually kill the virus or defect it from doing any harm, I would use warm water or hot water if you can tolerate it, but I usually just use warm water. So yeah, just stay safe on that. My opinion on the schools closing down. To me, that sucks. I'm a senior. I want to graduate. I wanted to walk across that stage. But with this coronavirus, it's expecting to be till around August, September, maybe even October before this stuff goes away and gets solved. There's really no anticipation or no real foreseeable future to when this might end. And to me, that's sad because, I've been looking forward I remember back in kindergarten when they had seniors come to my school at Sherwood Elementary. Go Sherwood Eagles. And they were talking to us about how, life changes when you grow up. And I have to agree with that. I never knew that, back when I was in kindergarten, if this happened, I would think, woohoo, it's time off. We get to do nothing. Well, I don't like doing nothing. I like doing something. I haven't really been staying out of the house either. This past week, if you check my Instagram, Noah Stakes, I met Scotty Kilmer, who's a mechanic that lives here in Houston. And he drove around in my car and we talked because I was worried someone was telling me that, your car has a problem where it might kill you. It's 21 years old and it has 55,000 miles on it. It's a great car. I love driving it. But I met him the other day and we talked for a while. He says that he'll use my car in one of his YouTube videos. So if you want to go check him out, just go on Google or YouTube rather and type in Scotty Kilmer. He gives a lot of good information about cars and whatnot, which actually in this time of crisis would be good that you fix your own cars because mechanics are considered, for the most part, you go to a mechanic like him, a small business, and they will try to scam you to make ends meet. I had a mechanic tell me that, like I said, the small mechanic to which I went to Scotty Kilmer to double check on my situation, he told me that my car, vibrating a little bit could kill me. It's just old age, but I don't want to have to fork out hundreds of dollars on something that doesn't really matter. And as of today, I haven't felt anything. I'm going 81 miles an hour and there's nothing going on with my car. And, you want to do your own oil changes because a lot of these big chain places are actually scamming people. I walked this lady's dog and she went to, I'm not going to disclose any names because I'm not quite sure, but she went to this chain place. It was a big place that does like tires or something, and they never changed her oil. She got charged $50 for it, and they never changed her oil, and her car got seriously messed up with it. She has a 2007 Toyota Prius, and it's unfortunate that people are taking advantage of people over this crisis. Like I said, my generation, we're going to beaches, we're driving around, we don't really care. I mean, we do care, but not enough to stop our life from going, because, you're young only once. You don't want to be 80 years old driving 75 miles an hour on I-10 making a YouTube channel or making a YouTube video. But, like I said, my generation, we're pretty stubborn, and I applaud everybody for being flexible, or not everybody, because there's actually quite a few unreasonable people when you go to Walmart or something. But for the most part, people are relatively nice. We'll hit baskets and stuff every now and then because we're trying to get the last thing of toilet paper or paper towels. I think that's uncalled for, that people are hoarding down on paper towels and whatnot. That's not fair. That's not cool. And really, why aren't you stocking up on food? Houston, Sylvester Turner, our mayor here, he even said that this Houston's open for business. It's kind of, a weird way how he said it because they're telling us to stay at home, but people are still going out and, eating and whatnot. Bars are closed. My mom's sad about that. My dad doesn't care. But small businesses are, really down in the dumpsters in terms of business. Sam's Deli Diner, the reason why I keep mentioning them is because they don't have a drive-thru and they don't do food delivery because they're such a small business. There's only 3 people working there. It's a very, very, very small business. They don't have they've always had a hard time keeping people. They've always had a hard time hiring people because people are relatively unreasonable these days in terms of what they want. I worked there for, I know I worked there over the summer in 2018, but I went longer than that too. I think I went about 7 months there, just to keep helping them out and hope they find someone before I'm like, hey, I need to focus on school. But just like I said, the small businesses are really hurting by this, and us as the consumer have the ability to change that and prevent that from going out of business if we truly care about them. And don't go into places and steal their toilet paper and stuff. I've seen so many places where I go to the bathroom to wash my hands just because that's my habit. Every time I go to a restaurant, the first thing I'll do is go wash my hands just because I touch the doorknob, touch the table. Sometimes the table's nasty and I have to clean the table for the restaurant. And I don't want a little extra serving of bacteria or virus on my food. So I go wash my hands, and I noticed recently that people are pocketing and taking their napkins and toilet paper. Don't do that. That's stealing. Like, cool it with that. It's not, I don't encourage stealing at all. Especially working from a restaurant perspective. I don't know how many of you have worked in a restaurant business, but it's brutal. And when something gets stolen or missing, usually the employee gets blamed for it because they're there the most. But that's why I encourage, just relax a little bit. Me personally, I think everything's going to be fine. Here in Houston especially, we dealt with Hurricane Harvey 2 years ago. You can go check out my other YouTube videos. Just type in Noah Stakes Hurricane Harvey or Tropical Storm Harvey, and you'll get a bunch of videos that come up talking about, or actually not talking about, because I don't talk in any of my videos. This is the first video that I'm really talking about, or second rather. You get to see pretty much what Harvey did in terms of this area. Harvey did a lot of damage. Mostly water. Ike was back in 2008. We had mostly wind damage, but Harvey brought a lot of rain. I even have a video where Beltway 8 is completely underwater. And, they never really did anything to fix it. And it's kind of interesting to see that the more people that drive on it, Hurricane Harvey it'll be 3 years this year in a few months. But to me, it's interesting to see how a lot of potholes and stuff are forming on that freeway. It's sinking. The freeway is actually sinking because that water, there's still water underneath there. Houston is pretty much like a playground. It's not like some of your drier northern places. Here, we tend to sink quite a lot. That's why we have a lot of the random hills and stuff. Forgot the name of what those are called, but we have a lot of hills and stuff where you'll have houses that are going down, but their yards will go up, or vice versa. And we know how to bounce back from a storm. So it's just good to see Houston. I don't know anything. I've never even left the state of Texas, so I couldn't tell you about much of any other places, but I have friends from all over the country. Keep me posted. Like, for example, I have a friend in California. From my understanding of what he said and from what I've read, they actually have it worse. They're not allowed to leave their house. Now, granted, they're more liberal. They have significantly stricter laws in terms of situation like this. Texas, we're relatively more conservative. We care, but Republicans care more about economy and economics, while Democrats care more about the people, which is great. That's what makes them different. Everybody's going to be different. You have some people that support the economy over the people. You have some people that support people over the economy. But he lives in California, and you're not allowed to leave your house at all. I don't know if they're distributing food to them. I don't know if they are simply just allowed to go to the store like once a week, get enough groceries to last a week. And like certain subdivisions get like a day each to go out and do stuff, so the stores have enough to restock and whatnot. But I don't really know what's going on down there. I just heard that they're locked down and they're not going to be able to leave for a while. And And this coronavirus, there's no really end in sight. The newses are freaking out, which they have the right to. I mean, they haven't even really talked about any of the primaries or what do you call it? Any sort of like, because this year is the presidential campaign, voting for president. I don't know why I can't think of the proper names for everything, but bear with me on that. They haven't really talked about that on the news. I watch NBC quite a bit. I just got channel 11 or CBS KHOU, which is what's here in Houston, back because we switched out of satellite. No, excuse me. We switched out of cable, or we switched to cable from. We switched from AT&T TV to regular satellite. We went out and bought a little antenna thing because it was just too expensive. It cost too much money. And the way that our houses are like worked, we have a bunch of trees and stuff, and sometimes the reception is not good. But now that I switched to a different room in the house, we do get channel 11 or KHOU CBS back, which is great because that's one of my favorite channels. But we watch them. They're mentioned all coronavirus. Nurses and doctors and hospitals are overwhelmed. What else? The grocery stores. Channel 2, Dominique Sasha talked to. I don't know his last name, but the president of HEB. His name is Scott. I think it's Mickeland. Forgive me, Scott, if you watch this video. I don't know your last name, but she talked to him, and he was talking about they have pretty ample supply of stuff, and they're doing this sort of like system where they can handle the strain. There's places, I think General Motors and Ford, Mercury, which is the car I'm driving in right now, is basically a Ford. So is Lincoln. But General Motors, which is like Chevrolet, they don't make these anymore. Pontiac, Oldsmobile, etc. Buick. They're actually going to be dedicating some of their production towards making masks, which I think is kind of cool that they're doing that. I worry a little bit about Ford because they're nearing and might not survive this recession because Scotty Kilmer was talking to me the other day about Ford, because he likes this car. It's actually listed in one of his cars that can go 300,000 miles or more trouble-free. And we were talking about Ford, and he was talking about how their stocks are plummeting and how they moved most of their production to China, where they may not survive because the Chinese aren't buying their cars really, and they spent billions of dollars investing in electric cars because the EPA is encouraging car manufacturers and car companies to get better gas mileage on their cars, which is understandable, because going back to China, air masks are already popular, and it's normal to wear them there because of the pollution that's there. It's a normal thing to have pollution in China. But here, it's not normal to see people wearing masks, and it's a growing little trend that I've seen, going to places like Walmart, Randall's, Kroger, HEB, even places like Costco and Sam's. They've got a bunch of people wearing masks. So, but just like I said, be careful out there. And if you like this video of me just, talking about what's going on around the country in terms of, how people are handling the situation and what I've seen in stores as well as what I've read, and my sources of friends in other parts of the country. I don't have any other friends in Europe, Asia. I don't have any out of the U.S. friends. However, we do have plenty of around the U.S. friends, and that's what I've been, talking mostly about in this video, is how my friends are adjusting to the way that the laws and stuff are set up down there where they live. I have a friend that lives in West Virginia. Their state was the very last state to get coronavirus, according to I think it's the CDC. Yeah, it is the CDC. They had a map where they color code which state has the most cases. And from my view of it all, or from what their map says, Washington and New York, Washington's had the most deaths, but New York State has the most cases, which makes sense because New York is significantly more populated than Washington. New York is significantly more populated. It's like 20 million people there. I think it's the third most populated state in the U.S. Versus Washington, which is actually relatively small. But it's just, it's really saddening to me to see how things have gone. But that's my goal in this YouTube channel. My new idea, I'm still thinking of a name for it, but I'm thinking about calling it like Noah's Car Convo. Or anything like, something like that. But yeah, that concludes this video. If you like this video and want to see more, please support me by subscribing to my YouTube channel. Like my videos, like, subscribe, comment, and share. That's what I always say. It's what everybody YouTuber-wise tries to say, or does say. And if I get a certain number of subscribers and a good amount of support, I will continue with this little idea, and we'll see how it goes, because I do appreciate the support, and I hope you enjoy a little bit, what's going on around Houston, because I uploaded a video the other day, a slideshow of what's going on with, the picture of the video is a Toyota Tacoma driving around with a big back full of a big Toyota Tacoma full of toilet paper and paper towels. And we were eating at Taco Cabana. We ate outside on this thing covered in bird poop. My dad insists that we eat. He doesn't want to go home and eat. He doesn't know what to go means. My dad's always stubborn though. So, but thanks for watching, and subscribe for more, and I'll hope to get some videos uploaded soon. My little rant on what's going on in the area, because it is a problem, and hopefully it gets solved soon, because it's not getting any better right now. So, thanks for watching. See ya.